Astrology isn't just about signs and symbols. It's a tool for navigating real life. Hello, and welcome to Astrology with Elisa. I'm your host, Elisa Dixon, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. You guys, Saturn in Pisces has been really strong this week. He stationed and went direct. And when Saturn stands still like that, we all feel it. That slow, heavy, unmistakable Saturn energy that cuts through the fluff and brings things into focus. I had already planned to talk about Saturn going direct this week, but then I actually felt it happen in the moment. It happened late Thursday night at 10:51 p.m., right as I was getting ready for bed. And out of nowhere, something clicked. This grounded clarity dropped in. Not dramatic, not emotional, just firm and definitive, like a quiet internal answer. Things I had been wrestling with for weeks, confusion and uncertainty I had been feeling, questions about direction, approach, and how I want to move forward with my work, suddenly became obvious. I didn't even realize what had happened at first. It just felt like a quiet inner knowing. Like alignment, a solid, decisive thought. This is how I'm going to move forward. And it wasn't until the next morning that I recognized exactly where that clarity came from. It was Saturn, clearing the fog, showing me my path forward as he turned around in the sky, returning to forward motion and helping me do the same. And later that morning, almost as if the universe wanted to underline it for me, I came across an article about Saturn going direct in Pisces. And there was this one line in that article that I haven't stopped thinking about since. When Saturn stands still and gravity returns. That phrase hit me in two completely different but equally important ways. First, literal scientific gravity. The force that keeps us grounded to the earth, so Saturnian. And second, gravity, as in grave, serious, weighty, real. That is Saturn, the planet that says no shortcuts, no pretending, no skipping steps. Do the work and you get the result. Saturn rules reality, while Pisces rules imagination. And immediately, I thought of this moment from my childhood. It's actually a really funny story. My mom is a Pisces sun with Jupiter, Mercury, and her North Node all there too. So she is pure Piscean magic. Compassionate, generous, spiritual, intuitive, very kind. She used to take these little afternoon meditations. She'd go lie down, put on soft music and an eye mask, and go to a place she called Nana Land. We'd ask where she was, and she'd say, "Oh, I just went to Nana Land for a little bit." Total Pisces. Then there was my dad, the scientist, a biology professor. All logic, facts, and reality. Very Saturn. One night, they got into the funniest argument. Well, it was more like a playful banter. Because my mom said she didn't believe in gravity. And my dad was losing his mind. He was giving full scientific lectures in the kitchen, explaining formulas, demonstrating physics, drawing diagrams. And my mom was just like, "Nope, I don't buy it." My brother and I were dying laughing. It was so ridiculous and so perfectly them. But honestly, it's the first thing I thought of when I read that line in that article. When Saturn stands still and gravity returns. Saturn retrograde in Pisces is like my mom in her Nana Land, floating around refusing to believe in gravity. And Saturn direct is like my dad showing up saying, "All right, time to come back to Earth. No more pretending. Time to get real." Now, did my dad ever convince my mom to believe in gravity? Honestly, I have no idea. And do I care? Absolutely not. She's amazing either way. But That's Saturn in Pisces, the dance between reality and imagination. Pisces is formless, fluid, dreamy, without boundaries. Pisces literally is the ocean. And Saturn is not built for formlessness. Saturn wants walls, structure, clarity, reality. Where Pisces is soft and ethereal, Saturn is hard and concrete. So when Saturn is in Pisces, and especially when it's retrograde, things get blurry. Boundaries dissolve. Confidence wobbles. Direction gets foggy. But then, when Saturn goes direct, there's this moment where reality drops back in. Like a rock falling through water, landing after floating a little too long. Literal gravity. The feeling of coming back to Earth, coming back to yourself, coming back to the work. Back to that line in the article, when Saturn stands still and gravity returns. And right now, that's where we are. Gravity has returned. Saturn is direct. And suddenly, the path forward for all of us will feel clearer than it has in months. And if we are intentional with the energy, we can lean into the best parts of both. Pisces is idealistic, creative, and inspirational. And Saturn brings the ability to take that inspiration and actually build something with it. So, looking through that lens, this whole transit has been about asking yourself, what dream am I willing to turn into reality? What inspiration is worth the work? What vision deserves structure? We've all been working through this Pisces chapter since March of 2023, when Saturn first arrived in Pisces. Saturn spends about 2.5 years in each sign, a full cycle of growth, lessons, and soul work. And this recent retrograde, that was the final turn. Right now, Saturn is sitting at 25 degrees of Pisces, and he won't leave the sign until February 13th, 2026. So we're in the home stretch. Just a few more months to work intentionally with Saturn in this part of our charts. A few months to take everything we've learned, everything we've refined, everything that's been forming beneath the surface, and turn it into something real. So tune in, pay attention, and if there's a dream, a vision, or a spark of inspiration you've been carrying, this is the moment to give it structure, to bring it to earth, to make it real. I think I've shared with you before, for me, this whole Saturn in Pisces chapter has been about becoming the astrologer I'm meant to be. Pisces sits across my second and third houses, my livelihood and my voice. And when Saturn first entered Pisces in 2023, that was the moment I realized I want to do this professionally. Not someday, not hypothetically, not when life settles down, but now, in a grounded Saturn way. So that early second house phase was all about foundation building, creating the business, building the website, laying the bricks for something real. And once Saturn moved into my third house, the house of communication and teaching, the house where my sun, Venus, and Mars live, that's when the podcast was born. My voice took shape. I started teaching. I started sharing and finding my rhythm. And then Saturn dipped into Aries for a little bit and then retrograded back into Pisces. And I felt that wobble, the questioning, the refinement. How do I want to show up? But when Saturn went direct this week, everything snapped into place again. I suddenly felt grounded, clear, serious, in the best, most Saturn way. And I realized I am a serious astrologer. Even if I keep things warm and conversational, even if I try to avoid being too heavy, even if I make it approachable and fun, the work is real. The guidance is real. The energy is real. And the episodes where I've allowed myself to go deeper, to get more serious, to talk about the heavier planets, those are the ones that resonated with you the most. I avoided Pluto for 6 months because I didn't want the podcast to feel too dark. But when I finally did the Pluto episodes, part 1 and part 2, they became 2 of the most popular shows to date. One listener told me that the story I shared about my brother's wedding and the toast inspired them to dig through old journals looking for their own Pluto patterns. They said they were hooked and learning so much. And then the Out of Bounds episode from a few weeks ago, the more technical, more educational one, that landed deeply too. A listener messaged me saying that my explanation of their Out of Bounds moon was the first time anyone had ever helped them make sense of their emotional experience. And moments like that, those messages, are why I know I'm on the right path. People listen to astrology podcasts because they want to learn. They want depth. They want meaning. They want to understand themselves. They want Saturn, even if they don't call it Saturn. And that's where I come alive. That's my Saturn, exalted in my 9th house, ruling my Capricorn rising, ruling my moon, saying teach, guide, go deeper, make the intangible real. And that's the clarity I felt Thursday night. That's the gravity that returned. And that's the path forward for me now. So as Saturn moves forward again and gravity returns, I want to invite you to find your gravity too, your anchor, your clarity, your next step. And if you'd like to read the article that I talked about in this episode, I'll link it for you in the show notes. And if you want to dive deeper into your own Saturn and Pisces story and make the most of these last few months, you can book a reading with me anytime at www.astrologywithalisa.com. I've also got digital gift cards available now on my website if you're looking for a meaningful holiday gift for the astrology lovers in your life. And if you haven't already, please go to my website and grab your free moon sign self-care guide. That's linked below as well. All right, you guys, as always, I love and appreciate you all. And I love hearing from you. Don't forget, you can send me a text message from the show notes or DM me on Instagram. Thanks again for listening. Take care, and I'll see you next time.